Welcome to WBC Faster Together, the LinkedIn Live series of the Women Business Collaborative. I'm Gwen Young, Chief Operating Officer of the WBC. Today, we're speaking about allyship with hosts Pat Shea and Kay Unger and guests Michael Norris and Aster, Angagaw. Each week in this series, we offer different ways to advocate change and accelerate impact by presenting data, research, and best practices, by lifting up the power of women's voices for change, and by showcasing the importance of cross-generational collaboration and the allyship of men in the movement. So today we're talking about allyship and how we can all work together, men and women, to advance women's leadership. Allyship is the foundation of the WBC 9 action initiatives against which we accelerate change. And through these initiatives, the WBC aims to increase women in the C-suite and boardroom, to address the underrepresentation of women across issues from access to capital in specific industries like technology, and to advance a pipeline of women leaders to bring gender and pay parity and diversity, equity, and inclusion to the business landscape. Kay, I'm turning it over to you to take it away and start our conversation on allyship and leadership.
Thank you so much, Gwen. And hello, everyone. I'm Kay Unger, and I'm here today with Pat Shea. Pat, Brittany Cole, and I serve as the WBC's Ally of Her co-chairs. For those of you who are new to WBC, we are an unprecedented alliance of 70 plus women's business organizations and hundreds of business leaders building a movement to achieve equal position, pay, and power for all women in business. Through collaboration, advocacy, action, and accountability, we mobilize thousands of diverse professional women and men, business organizations, and public and private companies to accelerate change. Now, please let me introduce our two incredible guests who I've now met formally. First, we have the amazing Aster Angagaw, who's recognized internationally as a senior global executive, thought leader, author, daughter, and mother. Aster recently joined Amazon as the Vice President, Head of Commercial and Public Sectors, Amazon Business Worldwide. Aster has decades, you look too young to have decades, of strong, successful leadership in highly reputable companies. Before Amazon, Aster was president of Service Master Brands, a leading provider of home and business services with more than 5,000 locations and $2.6 billion in global customer revenues. She's also served as CEO of the North American Healthcare Division of Sodexo for years. Our second guest entrepreneur, investor, board member, and global business CEO, Michael Norris. Hi, Michael. Michael's career has taken him all over the world. He has deep experience in enabling business transformation. He is known for attracting and supporting top talent. Michael's exceptional leadership at companies such as Sodexo, Sony Retail Entertainment, Chili's Grill and Bar Asia, General Mills, all of them legendary. With a lifelong passion for helping others, Michael's nonprofit work, including his role as a board member for WBC, has truly made our world a better place. So now I turn it over to you, Pat, for the remainder of this exciting conversation.
Thanks, Kay. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. One of the major goals of the WBC Ally of Her initiative is to invite more men into our work, partnering with men and being clear on how they can become allies, better allies in the workplace for women. Male allyship, we believe, can truly help us achieve gender equity in the business world faster. For today's conversation, I'm going to start with Aster. Aster, you're a phenomenally successful leader and author, and if I could, I'd spend the whole time talking about your new book. We are so much more. I've been reading about it. I can't wait to get my hands on it. But today we're talking about allyship, and Michael Norris who's one of your biggest fans. Also says he's been an ally. So what I've understood is Michael, throughout your career, and very specifically at Sodexo, has been a fan, an ally, and a supporter of yours. So I want stories. Please share your career journey and how Michael's played a significant role in all that you've accomplished.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. And Michael, it's so great to see you. I met Michael at Sodexo, where I worked for over 20 years. So I worked with Michael in different capacity for half of that time. I joined Sodexo as a VP of operation and was tapped to take on client retention and strategy for the business and industry segment as an SVP. Michael joined soon after, and we worked on the division strategy together. He then asked me to take on a sales organization, even though I never sold before. But he truly believed I can create a transformational change. And we were able to improve every metrics and triple the annual capture of revenue in 3 years. So then when I was tapped to go to join a global team to lead change management and transformational effort for Sodexo, Michael again endorsed me and encouraged me to do it. When I took the global business development role for healthcare, and I worked on, Michael and I worked on the same team. I think Michael did 3 things very well. He gave me room and a safe space to experiment and challenge status quo. He believed in me and told everyone who listened how good I was. And that was really helpful along the way. He debated ideas, not people. So he didn't baby me, which was really great. He debated me, challenged me along the way in a very respectful manner. But he really was challenging me with my ideas, expected me to push back, and he made pushing back totally acceptable in the conversation and actually expected. Most importantly, Michael invested time. He really invested time in the relationship, in the conversation, and he represented me very, very well when I was not in the room, which was really valuable. Even when I'm in the room, he made sure he was able to amplify my voice. So I would say, thank you, Michael. It's been a great journey.
Oh,
Wow. So Michael, comment on that. What she's saying about you, and are all those things really true?
well, you know, hearing her say those kind of things is kind of surprising. It's almost selfish to to take credit for what she did. You know, it really is the case. I mean, each one of those positions where I had a problem. Some people would call it an opportunity. So I didn't promote her. I basically asked her to take on the problem, and she did. You know, we had Sodexo was an amazing organization, a fantastic company with 185 services. We didn't need more services, and we didn't need to, operationalize more things on that. We just needed someone with a little bit different type of point of view to sell it. I knew Aster could do that. I needed her to do that. So in asking her to do it, she gives you credit for not, for seeing something. I didn't need the same tried and true type of situation. I needed her intellect and brain and drive and enthusiasm and excitement, all the things she had. Promoting that kind of situation, I've always really believed that you sponsor somebody, that's good. I think men have done an increasingly better job of sponsoring people. Mentorship, they've oftentimes in the past mentored, not well, but tried, but I think that you have to do more than that. Sponsorship means you care about people and their lives and how they feel and their families and their ambitions and their goals personally and professionally. I knew Aster, I knew her family, I knew the sacrifices she made to be successful and how hard she worked and how smart she was. And she always made ideas I had sound better. So that was always a good thing too. She could communicate so clearly things that she'd always tell me, slow down or do this. I got instruction from her. In fact, I even got instruction from her daughter. She has a daughter named Helen. And I remember one time, Helen wanted to go to some camp or some really expensive thing. And I think Aster she'll kill me for these stories, but Aster was telling her, I don't think we can really afford that. She goes, well, then I'm going to call up Michael and ask him to give you a raise because
I love that. So I know that Aster would have been unbelievably successful if she had never even met you. But the fact that you've been her ally has made it easier. 1 in 5 women who end up in the C-suite end up in meetings on a day-to-day basis all alone. And it's a scary place to be when there's no support and no one who's in agreement with how brilliant you are. So were you aware, Michael, of what you were doing and how you were being an ally to her over these years?
Well, I guess at the time I really had hoped the things we were doing. It seemed to be the case because she really liked the new opportunities and the advancement that, she was receiving. But, I mean, it's just always one of those really positive situations when you have people around you, attract good talent, reward it, keep it, nurture it, sponsor it, be an ally if that's the case. I think in those situations, she just excelled in at each one. I mean, she led operations, strategy, sales, and executive leadership. In every single position, she, demonstrated expertise and was successful. This wasn't just a situation where she got a title or a job. She actually performed in those positions and got the desired results, And I think being a sponsor, it was something that doesn't just happen at work. It also goes into things she's interested personally and after. We stayed friends and relationship long after Sodexo. So in that case, I had hoped that those things were contributory.
It's been fun spending some time with you guys before we were on today, because obviously you have a very good relationship on and off the screen and within and with outside the business world. So you benefited professionally because, as you said earlier, you had jobs you needed to have done. You had problems you needed to solve. So can you give me one example of when she specifically came in and took care of something, kind of blew you away?
Well, I can tell you about them as far as retaining business. I can talk about her strategy of, revamping our entire strategy, where we went from the actually worst of the marketplace to being number one. And it was basically based on a lot of her strategic work and communication and selling it then internally and externally that actually worked. But since she gave an example of sales, I can remember once we wanted to win, we had a strategy. It was different. We wanted, being a service organization, to go out and win we identified the 5 largest service accounts in the country. And, like USAA and Disney and people that were just considered to be the best at service. We wanted to work for them and be part of that organization, the best of the service, serving the best of the service. And I remember selling our Disney account, and Aster was in charge of sales. And I remember her coming up with the idea we should have an app for the employees, and we should make it easier for them to attain our services. And the app should also include different languages. Oh my God, these are not ideas that come from 185 existing services. They were ones that came from new strategic thinking and sales. So in that regard, those were all creative, specific details, a part of an organization that was enhancing itself. So the best service companies in the world being serviced by the best service company.
Wonderful. Aster, do you want to add anything to that story?
Yeah, I think what is really wonderful with Michael is that he, when you come up with a great idea, he was willing to fund it. And he also funded it for the long term. He didn't really expect something to happen in 6 months or in 1 year. He understood some good ideas require long-term investment and really protected them and sponsored the ideas. So I think success in allyship doesn't just come from being nice or knowing the person. It's really believing in them and believing in their ideas and, sponsoring them and speaking on behalf of their thoughts and their ideas as well. So I think we did that very well. I think we partnered very well. We had a very safe space to challenge each other and also know when something doesn't work and be able to, pull back if we need to. So I think knowing each other deeply is important. I think we did a lot of great things for the business, but we also created great environment for people to bring their best self to work, and then their ideas were nurtured. And he was very, very respectful to all of the people in the organization. So It was very helpful. It was a great partnership. And every time I encounter a relationship like that, I have a model to, it's hard for anybody to match that, but I always refer back to my experience with Michael.
So you just hit on a really critical point that's a passion of mine. You said he funded it. And I just believe women are so over-mentored and under-resourced, underfunded. So thank you. That's a perfect example of tremendous allyship, when you're not only just given the opportunity and recognized, but also given the resources. So you've mentioned some really great ways. Did you always know, or when did it dawn on you that he was truly an ally of yours? Was it at Sodexo, and then has it just continued naturally?
Well, I mean, I knew he was a very unique individual to begin with, because we really debated ideas, point of view. We talked about race, gender. There was nothing that we didn't discuss. Obviously, he was very respectful, very professional. But in terms of his commitment to the ideas that you bring forth, I knew he was unique in that, because he recognized it. He's a very high thinker, so he can recognize a good idea when he sees it, and he could visualize it, and then he's willing to invest in it. And I really like the point that you made. It's not about just being nice to women. It is really supporting them all the way. And so every opportunity I had to have a P&L role, having someone who really believed in me and say, hey, she can do it, give her the P&L, that was an amazing endorsement. And once you have a P&L, you have all the power to fund it yourself. So I think it's a really important distinction between being nice, getting to know the women in your organization, but really believing in them and giving them room to think and sponsor them and fund them to do the right thing. But I would absolutely insist in giving women a P&L role.
Yes, power and position and resources.
Absolutely.
I think great allies make it really safe for someone like you to just bring forth all your brilliance. And they appreciate the brilliance. They want the brilliance. They know the brilliance will bring about what they need in the organization. But that safe space and that recognition is really critically important, because we're still making change, but we've got a long way to go. So let me kind of change the subject a little bit. We're part of this Ally of Her program, and what Kay and Brittany and I are passionate about is really getting men to step into allyship and help women be as brilliant as we can be. So do you believe male ally programs are needed, and why? What would you say to a man that we're really trying to recruit in to be a spokesperson and to be like a Michael Norris?
I would say that instead of trying, I think there has to be a different mental model, which is not helping women, but leverage women in your organization, because they already got it. So what you need to do is, what is the problem you're trying to solve? And identify the smart women around the table or in your organization to elevate them and say, hey, can you work on this problem? Because we need people who believe in us and who give us the most challenging opportunities, and not baby us. We can handle it, but I think it's important getting the opportunity, regardless of if you don't have people at your table, elevate people who are a couple of, down the hierarchy and say, give them project, let them shine. I think that is allyship. It doesn't have to be this long-term engagement that really you have to commit for life. It could be an event. It could be a situation where you really supported a woman to be funded or give her a project to shine, and then the rest will take care of itself.
Well, and it sounds like Michael, and now I'm going to go back to your book. It sounds like Michael really appreciated and recognized the whole you as well, which is such a gift. I mean, I can remember my days in corporate healthcare where I didn't even want anyone to know I had a baby. I walked into a meeting one time and it was 8 o'clock, and I got there at 3 minutes before 8. I had a 6-month-old, and the CEO looked at me and said, "Did you sleep in?"
Oh,
Those were the days. So Michael, talk about why you think allyship programs are still needed, and What else can we do to bring men into the position that you've held, which is so comfortable, making it a safe space for women to just bring it all?
You know, Pat, I don't know that I could put it much better than Aster did, as usual. Recognize the opportunities, give women that challenge to take it. Pick women that have a unique talent to be in that situation because you want success. Even if they haven't got enough experience, if you really believe in their talent, they can do it, back them, support them. Aster was part of our executive team. No matter what, she headed up her own specific responsibilities from P&Ls and operations up to strategy, up to sales, up to anything. She also contributed to the overall thought process direction of what we were all doing. I can remember teaming up with our entire team, even Jerry Mason Hall and Aster and a number of people. When the question always comes up, where's the talent going to come from? We don't have enough people. We don't have enough budget. So I think it was Aster and Jerry that we came up with, well, let's fund 5 positions and train those positions up. And it's amazing. Those 5 people immediately got taken every time there was a need for one because it was a pool and people were there. Problem, answers, was answered. So funding something's important. And I think believing in people is important, and women in general haven't had enough of that, but it's being proven time and time again. The more we invest in women, the more successful the whole organization is.
Yes. Diversity brings about so much more, everything, importance, bottom line, everything. So Aster, I didn't say this to you before, but was there ever a time with Michael where you pulled him aside and said, that's not what I need, get out of my space, I don't need you right now here?
Oh my God. I think that was sometimes every day. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think Michael was very good at reading situation, and he stepped away when he needed to step away, and he amplified when he needed to amplify. But most importantly, he would, I know he represents me well everywhere because people come back to you like, what do you do for that person? Like, he's just, raving about you, and what's your role? And those people are like 3-4 levels higher. And they really gave me visibility in the organization because he represents me in other places. But I have to say, it wasn't just me. I think there are many women who would say the same exact thing about Michael. He mentioned Jerry, but there are many others as well. Yeah.
So, Michael, you are as amazing as I've always thought. This is so much fun to get to hear the inside scoop. So the closing question for both of you is, what are some ways that men could be a better ally to women? And what are ways that women could be better allies to women? So I don't think it's just about men, but how can we practice allyship in today's world just a little bit better than we did yesterday? Because it's so important. So, Michael?
Well, it comes down to trust. You just got to believe in people, and you got to trust in your own heart. You should be in a situation where you want equity and fairness and giving opportunity to just about, anybody who really asks for it. I think you need to step out of your way to basically take the time to recognize talent and promote people. And, when they're not quite sure they're ready, if they are, then back them and be there for them, because they're going to stumble in that new position on occasion. And you've got to be there to, overcome that small step that, doesn't go the right way. I just honestly believe that there's an opportunity for everybody out there. And as long as we're a growing organization, family, country, world, if we can be in a positive light, there's room for everybody. And if you can ally women in general, I think that, it all comes back to you. I mean, my success has been dominantly because of people like, Aster and Jerry and many, many more. They've contributed and they've made us successful.
Mm-hmm. Aster, you want to say anything?
Yes, I think it's really important to get to know the women in your organization or on your team. I have a one-liner that I always say, and because it works, there is always room for a woman at the table. One more woman, there is always room. So if there is room, just look after other women and ask them, get to know them in a very professional way. I just had dinner yesterday, and the stories are very powerful. I met with a group of women and men, and they tend to be very diverse. And we were having a conversation, and this woman said, who's really a PhD from a very, very high, very, very good school. She said to me, if you don't look like them, if you don't talk like them, you don't think you're smart. I think it's so sad. And it wasn't like just a matter of saying or very generalities. It was very much a lived experience. So I think it's important to get to know the women in your organization and really leverage them, because they really are smart and they can accomplish a lot.
So, I hadn't thought about it till getting prepared for this conversation. Your whole book is really a book on allyship. I mean, we are so much more is giving women permission to be all that we are. So I'm being an ally of you right now. In our close, tell us where we can get the book. Tell us about the book. 2 minutes.
Okay. That's a tough one. So I wrote a book called We Are So Much More. You can find it on Amazon. It incorporates the story of 18 other successful executives from 5 countries, 10 countries and 5 continents. It's really about telling the stories of women who've been very successful and how they empowered themselves to achieve all that they have achieved in consideration of all parts of their life. And I wrote the book to honor my mom and to write a love letter to my daughter. And then if everybody else reads it outside of that, that was a bonus. So thank you.
Yes, and inviting all women to understand we are so much more than our work and
Absolutely.
the gift of all of us. So Michael, thank you. Aster, thank you. You guys are fabulous. I so appreciate your time this morning. Kay, I'm going to turn it over to you to close and to say any remaining comments or questions that you might have.
So thank you, Michael and Aster. I'm just so touched and inspired by what a supportive partnership you have had and what an example. And it's something for all of us to really think about. And allyship and Ally of Her, such an important program that, as you said, Pat, goes both ways. Women helping women, helping men, and men helping us. But we have not much more time. I have sort of seen some of your videos about the book and read all the famous sayings that you, these different women have shared with you and about your mom. So I highly suggest it. And Michael, thank you so much for the work you've done for WBC, and Pat for being my partner in this really critical project. So to everyone listening, join us at WBC. We are the only women's business collaborative. Our mission is to create equal position, power, and pay for all women in business. And we love including men. And remember, every opportunity you have, be an ally. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.